I think it's very important for Americans to understand how deep the crisis that is building is for the entire future of America. I recently wrote a newsletter at Gingrich 360 in which I described America in crisis, and I meant that. Years ago, Callista and I visited the Rubicon. The Rubicon is a very small stream, which was the constitutional boundary of the Roman Republic. And you could not cross the Rubicon with an army. There's a brilliant small book by Theodore White called Caesar at the Rubicon. And there's a massive 6-volume series by Colleen McCullough about the rise of Julius Caesar. They both capture the decay of the Roman Republic as the rule of law breaks down and the politicians begin to destroy each other. And when it becomes a danger that you will be attacked and put in jail when you leave office. Caesar has just spent 7 years fighting a war in Gaul with enormous success, writing a remarkable book on the Gallic Wars, and is coming home. He wants to disband his army. He wants to return to politics. And the problem he faces is that his opponents intend to try him, condemn him, and either exile him or kill him. He will not let that happen. He sits at the Rubicon, and you can actually go to the site that Caesar uses to cross the Rubicon. He sits there for days, and he sends emissaries, including Mark Antony, to Rome to say, can we reach an agreement that if Caesar leaves his army behind and comes by himself, that he will be safe? And his enemies say no. If he shows up in Rome, we're going to arrest him, we're going to try him, and he's either going to be exiled or killed. So he's faced with a choice. Does he honor what is now a corrupt republic, which is in the process of devouring its own leadership? Or does he decide that for his own survival, he has to take on the Roman Republic? And he concludes, as a matter of survival, that he has to move, and he does so with enormous speed. Caesar was the greatest military figure of his time and one of the 4 or 5 greatest of all time. I think if he could have found a way to cut a deal, to not be prosecuted, he would not have, in fact, rebelled. Now, how does that relate to America today? We're at the edge of having one of the 2 major parties under total assault from the United States government. Donald Trump, former President of the United States, received 74 million votes in the 2020 election. The leading candidate for president on the Republican side, the most likely nominee, has been indicted in New York by a Democratic district attorney, will be indicted in Atlanta by a Democratic district attorney, has been indicted in Miami by a Democratic appointee in the Biden Justice Department, and will be indicted in D.C. by the same Democratic attorney under the Justice Department. He faces in Miami alone potentially 400 years in jail for actions which are arguably dramatically less than Hillary Clinton was exonerated for. We've just watched Hunter Biden get a sweetheart deal that no normal person could get. Ask your friends and your neighbors. Do you think if you signed a false statement in order to buy a gun while a drug addict, and you failed to pay taxes for 2 straight years on millions of dollars in income, do you think you could get the Hunter Biden deal? You know you couldn't. You know that the whole game is rigged. The danger of a rigged game is it destroys the Constitution. It breaks down the rule of law. It replaces it with the rule of politicians. This is a genuine crisis, and we need to understand what is at stake in the next few months. My new book, March to the Majority, is now a bestseller, and it's available at Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and at bookstores everywhere. You can order it by clicking on the link in the description.